in the law. Also, the pre-war stigma amplified exactly by Russian gay propaganda narratives, which came from 2013, and which framed LGBTQI identities as a Western decay. But also, over this historical marginalization, we have pretty new war challenges, such as legal barriers denying marriage, adoption, and spousal right for non-heterosexual couples, such as harassment and physical gender correction terms persist as civic practices and in the military, according to interviews from LGBTQI soldiers, and forced conscription and immigration, which limits community domestic organizing capacity. So people go tired and simply leave, meaning that a lot of resources and efforts become invisible or simply ended in Ukraine. Because after relocation, people would be used to survive instead of doing some actions for change. But what did they manage to do for democracy building and for actually for changing the situation they face at home? Approximately 2% of armed forces are at the front lines, and actually, actually a lot of LGBTQI combatants are at front lines, reshaping these masculinity norms, meaning that true warrior should be a normative, heteronormative. Also, voluntarily mobilized combatants, driven by this collective sense of belonging, sharing collective identity of being, let's say, true Ukrainian, who is able to mobilize and actually willing to mobilize, challenge these conservative norms because it works only in this way, based on national identity. So what did they say? What did activists, not even activists, but rather LGBTQI soldiers at frontline says that a transgender soldier told that I wanted to show my family who you are, and that was the reason of mobilization. And another representative of LGBTQI community told that I just will not be out of place there. And also, in a bigger picture, humanitarian efforts by visible LGBTQI activists and their support of broader societal resilience helped others to see the value of community who are pro-Ukrainian, anti-war, and actually actionable and capable for creation socially relevant public services. And in this way, they created this not safe but brave spaces using social media. So the most commonly used were Facebook on the first place, then Telegram, and also Instagram and TikTok. And in this way, they managed to shift societal attitudes, but it happened in 2022, and I didn't find the same way of social acceptance year after in 2023, and actually situation get worse in 2024 and 2025. So, but where did we come from here? So public support of these community rights rose from just 34% in 2016 to approximately 60% in 2022. Exactly then, their efforts were most visible, and they promoted their ability to voluntarily mobilize. So with this equal rights support, ended at 60% in 2022. And military service in Ukraine is the most trusted institution, was and is after this full-scale invasion. So being a part of military service legitimized diverse identities. Which are or becoming visible via social media. So as respondent told, they such contributions really soften attitudes. And also, personal stories were of great use, but again, understanding that saying these stories or sharing these stories in unsafe spaces are very risky. But at the same time, what has been found that these sparked empathy to people at the front lines, despite persistent hate speech. And also civic tech initiatives like Map of Help for LGBTQIA, which was developed by Gender Stream in 2023. So they provided resources and visibility to those who are at the front line, not even at the war, but also to at these action arenas, which become extremely open for haters as well. And diversity of contributions at action arena became a new but not yet sustained norm. So in this way, I would say that they got great visibility and openness, but at the same time, wider reaction from society, which is pretty much polarized, between acceptance and disacceptance. And in the second case of disacceptance, these activists um, take higher personal security and emotional risks of, again, being persecuted and being harassed in social media. So in this case, or anyway, effects of digital engagement were evident during the first years of Ukrainian defense, because spaces in social media, first of all, provide these resources and visibility, but they cannot be considered as safe and welcoming for people who took this enormous risk of being judged and persecuted. Such action arenas empower activists and advocacy networks. It helps to connect them. And at the same time, the good thing is that global geopolitical issues create a ground for rise, bad thing, a ground for rise of far-right populism where LGBTQI is victimized. Part of this arena, with such problems and challenges of discrimination, raising disinformation and gender propaganda in social media, with such broader impact as, for example, driving tolerance and challenging traditional gender norms, again, because of stories told from trusted soldiers who appeared to be the part of this community, and also in advancing human rights discourse because of Ukrainian movement towards EU. But at the same time, it should be acknowledged that without gender mainstreaming and true proper changes in laws, the rollback still remains a significant risk. And also international advocacy and diaspora efforts strengthen this global support for Ukrainian sovereignty and equality. But at the same time, rejection of diaspora's efforts by Ukrainian society, which is also propelled by Kremlin propaganda, slows down this progress because the idea is separate society of propaganda efforts. And contributions create a legacy which could be lasting, but at the same time, it is not a thing which goes as granted, because integration diversity into Ukraine's socio-political transformation, specifically toward membership in EU, but without this sustainable effort and support, these effects, it could not be lasting. So the next part is devoted to women and their perspective on their actions on action arena. So mainly taken from insights from interviews with female activists and leaders of civil society organizations which are still active. And I would probably start with cases. And first and most, I would take just two. The first one is about doubting female activist capability, which was considered by me as one of most common, which is usually happening. So who was this interview respondent? It was female civic activist, 30 plus years old. She has engineer background, and she is a founder of civil society organization, which from 2022 deals with technical equipment for armed forces. So she creates crowdfunding campaigns to fill some gaps she could find in technical equipments of these contact battalions she's working with. She organizes her crowdfunding campaigns in social media, and actually she contacts combatants via Telegram.